So I went to a talk on Agile. Well, I went to quite a lot of talks on Agile on the beach, but one of the talks I went to was by a guy called Ian Ketchingbaum. I'm going to read it. He's from Israel. He's got quite a thick accent, softly spoken, so it's quite intense. He sort of draws you in. You have to listen to him quite intently. And the title of the talk was Coal Miners' Productivity and Socio-Technological Teams. It's also about coal miners in South Yorkshire, which is a bit of an odd topic for a guy from Israel to talk about. And it came about because of the co-presenter, Lawrence Woods. He's from that neck of the woods, and they had a talk about coal mining in the pub after last year's Agile on the Beach. So they sort of had this idea to do this talk. So the talk went something like this. Between 1945 and 1951, Clement Attlee was UK Prime Minister. And one of the things he's famous for is for the birth of the NHS. Another thing he was looking at doing was improving productivity and working conditions. So that's sort of what this talk was about. So they sent sort of people out far and wide to search the country for examples of best practice. And one of those people was Eric Trist. He went out to Elsecar Colliery in South Yorkshire. And they went there because they were producing twice as much coal with the same resources as sort of most other collieries in the country. They were doing longwall mining. Longwall mining is, if you imagine a slice of toast, it's a piece of coal. They line up a tunnel along one edge of the toast, and then they sort of basically scrape along the edge and drag out the coal one slice at a time, and then they'll go back again there. And the way to do that traditionally is in 3 shifts. So you have a preparation shift that sort of squares off all the corners, makes the tunnel nice and neat. You've then got a shifting shift, which takes all the machinery, so the mechanical process sort of puts all the machinery in place. And then you've got a 3rd shift, which actually operates the machinery. It's the filling shift, and that sort of takes all the coal out. So you've got 3 shifts working, and one of those shifts was delivering coal. But what they were doing in Elsecar Colliery, they had 3 shifts still, but each shift was doing all 3 things at the same time, so they were sort of cross-functional, self-organising teams, which is how come it ended up as an Agile talk. And sort of Ilian went into sort of details about an analysis about how that might work and why it might work, and how that sort of crosses over into what we do with software. So we've got the Agile Manifesto, and one of the sort of the top principles is, I'll read this one off as well, our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Well, these coal miners, they weren't delivering software, they were delivering coal, and they were continuously delivering coal, because they're delivering coal every shift rather than just one shift back to 3, so it wasn't big bang, it was sort of continuous delivery. So. But what I found interesting about the talk was at the end there was a question. There's probably more questions, but I just remember this one. Somebody asked a question, and it went like this. And sometimes you want specialisation. So in the case of brain surgery, you don't want a generalist doing brain surgery. And Ilian's answer was that, well, actually, you didn't have generalists down the shift. They still had the shifters, and they still had the fillers, and they still had the preparation people. There was just some beats, so there was still specialists there. But that wasn't the point of the talk. The talk was about the difference between being effective and being efficient. And he illustrated this point with quite vividly. So if you all close your eyes and imagine a concrete concrete 10-storey tower block, and on the top of that tower block there's an elephant, and you can take your pick, either an African elephant or an Asian elephant, but probably not one of the pygmy Borneo elephants. You'll see why in a second. So the most efficient way to get that elephant from the top of the building down to the bottom of the building is to give it a push. And it's going to accelerate up to about 100, 150 miles an hour. And then when it gets to the bottom, it's going to rapidly decelerate back down to 0 again. And that's probably the most efficient way to get that elephant from the top of the building to the bottom. But it may not be the most effective way to get the elephant down, because you've got the smashed up concrete at the bottom there, there's going to be a big mess. And you probably haven't got a functioning elephant at the end of it. So that was his illustration of the difference between being efficient and being effective. So I just wanted to take a little detour to my town on Agile on the Beach. At lunch we had a client down, so At lunchtime, the client says, it's really brilliant coming down to on the beach. We don't do software, but we sort of take all these post-it notes and Kanban boards, and just in time, we use it in the office. We're using all these software techniques in the office. And I sort of said to her, it's not a software thing, Agile, or definitely the techniques we're using are not software. A lot of it came from the Toyota production system. It's heavy industry and making cars, so it's not a lot of software thing. It's not a new thing. We were quite slow to the party in software. So I just want to revisit the brain surgery again. Remember I said about the brain surgery, you don't want a generalist doing brain surgery. But actually brain surgery, it's not a single player sport. The brain surgeon doesn't do it all by himself. He's got an anaesthetist, nurses, probably some porters, other people helping support that. So it's a team activity. So if you imagine that brain surgery, the brain surgeon decides to do it the efficient way. So probably the most efficient way is on Monday. They do 10 brain surgeries a week, so on Monday he's going to sort of take all the tops off all the patients. And then on Tuesday he's going to do all the operations. And then on Wednesday he's going to put all the tops back on the patients again. And then he's going to take Thursday and Friday off because he's done his quota in like 3 days. But as you can imagine, that's probably not the most effective way to do brain surgery. It might be the most efficient. It's definitely not the most effective.
They will join elephant pretty soon.
Yes. So, what did I take away from that? Not to be the brain surgeon that takes all the lids off the patients on one day, not to push elephants off the top of buildings. So what does that look like in software? Do we break down all the tasks at the same time, or maybe we do just enough to deliver the piece of software we're trying to deliver? Do we write all the unit tests at the same time, or do just enough to deliver the piece of software? Or do we do all the refactoring at the same time, or do we do just enough to deliver the software again? So it's sort of a bit like an agile razor. I don't know if any of you heard the Optimus razor, but that could be like an agile razor. And possibly one of the other things, not this talk, but another one of the other things that might be the most effective thing to do, but possibly not the most efficient, is sitting on your chair and doing nothing for 23 minutes, or looking at YouTube video for 23 minutes. And 23 minutes is a number from one of the other sports, but that's not my talk. I'm done.